name is Jeetujayson, Raju. My first name is Jeetujayson, but you can either call me Jeetu or Jason, whichever is convenient. And my company is Impact Media. I run a PR agency. I do consultation. I do sometimes a done for you model for my clients. It depends. So that's basically what I do.
Hey, it's Kellen, and today on Diversified Game, I'm very happy when I get to talk to other PR professionals, especially when they're the other side of the world. And now I can say on the other side of the sane world, because I literally live in madness in Florida. But I have celebrity PR agent Jeetujayson, and he's going to give us the game on what he does and how he does it for people all over the globe. So Jeetu, welcome to the show. How you doing, brother?
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. I'm really glad for this.
Yeah, I really liked your openers on however we came together and introduced each other. When I was doing my research, I said, okay, I see Jeetu. He's pushing for the PR, and you told me you're in India, which I'm a Bollywood fan. Because I'm a Nollywood fan, and they finally have come together with Namaste Wahala. Thank you, Netflix and everybody for putting that together. But I want to know, how did you get to doing this? You're a young guy. Was PR something that you studied in college, or how did you get into the field?
No, my background is in computers. I was a teacher before this. I was teaching computer-aided design software programs. Siemens NXCAD and 3ds Max, AutoCAD, etc. And we used to teach people and also do projects in this area. And but that was a brick and mortar business where we were bringing students in, working with companies, etc. And it was very difficult to scale up. And this was 2 to 3 years ago. And I wanted to really scale things up. So I got into digital marketing so that I could run ads on Facebook for my business. And that got me hooked because, and this was a time of people were doing drop shipping and all of that. And I thought I didn't have the capital back then to scale my brick and mortar business back then. So I thought maybe an online business would be easier to scale up. And it is relative to a physical business. And so I started doing Facebook ads and things like that for my own company at the time. And slowly I started to get into this. And at that time, I had I was food poisoned and had to be rushed into the ER. And when I got out, I had panic attacks and PTSD and depression, which is typical of once you go into an ER. When you come out of it, most people go through this, and so did I. And so I had to reevaluate my philosophy a little bit. And after that, I started helping other people out who are in similar situations to get out of situational depression and things like that. And these were just my friends and people I met online, nothing professional at that level. So I took the first steps into connecting with people online. Up until that point, I did not make any connections online. I was not online. I did not have much of a Facebook presence or Instagram presence. I did not have these accounts or anything like that. So once I got onto this, networking is much easier compared to meeting people physically because it takes a lot of time. It's very inefficient. It has its own pluses, but if you're starting out, this is a much better way to do it. And at the time, my friend who I was fortunate enough to have friends who are into entrepreneurship and things like that. So my friend was doing web designing at the time, and he was reaching out to clients and making around $1,000 a month from India itself by building website, drop shipping website for other people. And so he taught me some of the things that I needed to know, and I plus worked in with a friend of mine in the capacity of like a sales caller, and I like that kind of brushed my sales skills up a little bit. I was taking like 10 calls, 5 to 10 calls a day, and so after that I started with public relations. Initially, we were just doing press releases and for corporations, companies who wanted to get their news out. Let's say if they are moving their headquarters to a new location and bringing more jobs into that location, so they wanted to do a press release, and so that journalists could write this, get that information into their news articles to inform the public. And then slowly I started to get into as a contributor on small publications like Disrupt, Kivo, etc. And my network grew, and we started connecting with other PR agents and contributors and journalists. So today we help people get media attention, and also we consult people on how to do this themselves as well. So that's basically my story up until now.
Wow, and I love it because it's just a natural, like one thing goes into another, and that's how it works for most of us. I went to and actually taught this stuff in graduate school to folks, but it was still one thing just leading to another, and that's just how life is. Now, one of the services that you give out, and I'm not gonna sugarcoat anything. You put people in Forbes. You let people know I can get you in Forbes, and every PR professional can. But there are PR professionals like Kyle Dundee. I'm gonna say a name because I've actually bought some of his courses, and I'm not saying he's a bad person, but he and others will say, hey, I can get you on Forbes, but it will be on the backlinks. So people can't, some people know the trick, some people don't. But to really be in Forbes, I have four placements that I can name to people, right? They're not the easiest to get. What do you think about placing clients on backlinks and saying, hey, you're on Forbes, versus them being on like the front website and you can easily search it? Because clients want what they want, and we're here to give it to them. But what are your thoughts on that?
Well, there are a number of ways. Like in public relations, there are people who do press releases only, and that I'm okay with that. But press releases work for a set of people. Like I said, I initially started with press releases, and it is generally not useful if you are an entrepreneur or just a startup to do press releases, because unless you're doing something really, really exciting, in that case, press releases, I've not seen it work for them. And so generally we pitch it to corporations who have who have a lot of money involved in each decision. So some of the decisions need to be reported. So that's where press releases come in, and also these news media publications. And it's really something that we can't control because the platforms are not under our control. They have this sponsored articles, which we call it advertorials. They have clear disclaimers on it, and so that's one thing that people do, and I've seen people do that, get featured in sponsored articles as opposed to like proper news articles, and that it works as long as people don't know what it is. But at some point they're going to learn that this is a paid article, and it's not the same as an actual featured article. So we educate people in the differences between a sponsored article versus a contributor article versus a staff article, and we tell them which works right now for what application. So that's part of our service, that we teach people how to distinguish between bullshit articles versus proper articles, and learn the difference between them and use it the right way. So which is there are a lot of people who come to us who just want to get featured so that they could reach more people. PR is not a very good reach tool as it is an image building tool. I'm not saying reach doesn't happen, but it's like trying to, I always give this example, and it's like trying to stitch your dress with a knife. Uh, so that's the drawback. So learn to use the tool for the actual purpose. Yeah.
I'm so happy you said that, because when people come for services, they, especially now, things have changed since, I'm talking like the old elders. They have changed because social media and PR is like it fights, and PR was already fighting with marketing and advertising.
Yeah.
And so what PR is really for, people want you to, make me famous today and have me on the platforms and monetize. And it's like, you want me to do that in a month too? No, that's not even something, I can't guarantee you that because your content might be totally just whack. So now I have to do everything for you or work with people that I know that can do it. And that's why I love having these conversations to find out, what do you really enjoy the most with your company doing? Because PR is so vast. What's your favorite things to do in PR?
Well, my favorite things to do in PR is, the content of the article, if it is, that generally, you think that just giving value to people is the way to go. We hear this a lot, give value to people. But there are two types of value, in my opinion. One is a very generic version of value, which is, I'll give you a crude example. I think it's better that way. Let's say, you want to know something about immigration. And so if you publish an article about how to how to immigrate to US, and this is the way you do, you try to go for this visa, that visa, and try to fulfill all the requirements for that. That is value, but it's a very generic version of value. What works so far that I have understood is hacks. People are excited about certain solutions that most people are not trying to think about, or most people are not doing. So in the case of like immigration, and I'm just giving an example. So let's say if you're already in US and your visa is about to expire, but you want to stay in US, what can you do? Well, you can work in a church. There's R1 visa. You can apply for that and work in a church, and then go for EB4 visa, which is a EB4 green card, religious worker green card. So that's an interesting news. Most people don't know this path. So if you provide that value, and if you come appear in the news, that benefits the news agency, that benefits the readers, that benefits the people who's being featured in that news. So I try to focus more on the content and try to move away from the generic sales kind of material to more value oriented, and not just generic value, like something that is a hack. There's a difference between a solution and a hack. Hack is newsworthy, it's interesting to read, people like that, they click on it. But generic solutions is more like like a pat on your own back.
Majority of the folks are listeners, but YouTube is kicking up. Packages for people, where should people be at? And links will be in the description, folks, for his services. But where should people be at financially? And I know everybody wants something different. Some folks might say, just put me on Forbes, or just make my Google profile so I can look like a famous person that Google cares about. But where should they be at financially? Because you're not Fiverr, you're celebrity PR agent. So the price, don't call him thinking that this is a Fiverr connection. And there's nothing wrong with Fiverr. I love Fiverr. I love Upwork and all that. But you are, you're at a different level, and you have clients, like Chase Pang and Keith Mason that you work with, and they've given you video testimony. But where should people be at before contacting you financially?
Well, they should already have a business or a profession that they have some ground in. This is not, PR cannot take you from like not having a business to having a business. You need to have something first so that we can like brand you as something. So that's number one. Second is you should have at least some initial momentum so that we could say something about, or at least have some expertise, or at least have a crazy story. For example, if you travel around the world on donations, and that's not really a profession, but it's a newsworthy thing. You could be, that's something that we can get you featured about. And so that's what, either you need to have a crazy story, or you need to have like a decent budget so that we could build up that initial momentum that you lack. So which obviously takes more time and more money. So that's what you need to have. I'm not saying you should have like a crazy story all the time. I work with people who are who are just running a business. Like I work with people who do insurance for corporates. And so corporations usually pay a lot of like high premium for their employee healthcare, and that's unnecessary. They can kind of give a more reasonable premium. So I worked with a guy who could help reduce the prices of corporate like premiums that they pay on their employee healthcare. So that is something that I thought, like, people should know, or at least companies should know about. And so we did a story around that. So you should have something going on. And the second, if you talk about budget, it's like there are things that we can do like around the $1,000 range. But if you want like serious impact, so you need to have like a budget of around like $3,000 or about.
Awesome. And you know that people, when I send them my scope of work, they say, I never knew how expensive it was going to be. I said, oh, you thought you were at Walmart. No, no, no. This is the highest in store that you can think of because we're good at what we do. We're great at what we do. Actually, I'm going to be, Trump is my Irish twin. We're born on the same day. So sometimes it might sound Trumpish, but we're great at what we do. Nobody does it better. But when they pay for these services, do you have a average of how many placements they get? Because I want this to be a teachable moment, because I have seen PR professionals place 30 placements in a month and clients still not happy because they didn't understand that just because you got placed didn't mean that your product was going to sell out or your services. So what would you say would be like an average placement?
The average placement for, like, I cannot speak for other PR agents, but for me, it has been three. Three is the average placements that I get my people, like clients on. And that, unlike like TV, radio, or, print, digital PR is the exact, the reach or the exposure on it is kind of like the opposite of what the traditional PR is about. So if you appear on some talk show or some radio show or print, you get the most exposure on day one, and then it kind of tapers down because the news gets old. But when it comes to digital PR, it's the opposite way around. Once you get featured in for a specific content or something like that, that kind of stays there, and every day, every month, it keeps collecting more and more readers. So on day one, the exposure is low, and as time goes on, the exposure keeps increasing. It's sort of like a YouTube video. Over time, you will have more videos. So it's something like that. So in the short run, of course, like, you don't see much of a result, but in the long term, especially if something happens in that industry, your article gets a lot of exposure and people reach out to you because of that.
No, I love it. I love it. And you have a package. This is just so when people ask me next time, Kellen, can you make me that Google profile thing? Do you have a package just for that? And then I'm going to share this interview with them and say, here's the package right here. Here's the guy. If you have a package for them to have their Google profile, because again, like you said, not everybody is that exciting. Not everybody is worth a Google profile or verified. But if you do have a package for that, please let the people know.
For Google Knowledge Panel, we don't have specifically a package because you have to change your life a little bit in order to get that. So what we have found out is that if you're an author, if you have some books written, that's generally the way to go. So that's generally how we want. Not all of our clients want to write a book or have a book written for that. So of course, that's not applicable for everyone. So we don't have a specific package. It's on a client to client basis. So whatever the client's requirements are, we kind of tailor it for them. But we do have like a press package where we can get you at least 3 publications in a month, and the retainer fee would be around $5,000 for that.
Okay, and that's a straightforward answer, people. So there you go. The price is the price. If you can afford it, you get it. You got the guy to do it who has recommendations. I want to know, because I know you're from your hair. I know you're still a young guy. I don't see the gray, that things are flowing.
Like what do you think? What do you think my age is?
I would say 32.
Okay, 29.
29? Okay, I was reaching because when you said that, usually when people get in the 30s and they still got it, okay, now guess. So, I probably would have said, if you didn't say it like that, I probably would have said 27. But yeah, but everything is still flowing on you, and the best is yet to come. Like, you are just getting good, right?
Yeah.
And you're on your way to greatness. What is a community give back that you are doing or that you plan on doing in the future?
I didn't understand the question. What do you mean?
A community give back, something you do for the community or that you would like to do for the community.
I would like to see the standard of journalism increase a little bit, because today like there are a lot of opinion pieces, like op-eds, opinion articles, and that's kind of okay. But I think, if you are in the field of journalism, I think you have you should focus more on objective journalism, like Wikipedia does, and focus that. I know it generates a lot of money, if you have op-eds, because it's like you can spice things up, but I don't think that's the right way to go in the long term. So I would like to see more. I don't know how exactly we're going to do this, but we need to see a shift away from opinion journalism to objective journalism, which sadly it's not going in that direction right now.
Well, are you saying, is India suffering the same way America and the UK is with the opinion journalism?
Yeah, it's a global problem.
Oh man, okay. I thought maybe it was just us, because when I'm in Africa, things are more old school in journalism, and even some of the YouTubers get in trouble in some of the countries, and that's, but it depends where you are. I'm talking about 54 different countries and counting. I know there's no official language in India, but
there is.
Well, from the Constitution, I thought there was no official language.
There's a national language.
Okay, and it's Hindi, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I got some bad information. Because I was like, I was thinking that, like in America, you can speak whatever language you want. It's legal, and people have to, in Cameroon, English and French work. But there are certain things on YouTube, and if you can't speak on this, I understand. There are certain things on YouTube that people could really benefit from that are only in Hindi. Do you know why that is? And the things that I'm thinking about are YouTube certifications that English speakers have no idea, unless you work for YouTube or have, connections, know that you can be certified in YouTube. And I've seen these things in Hindi, and actually have had them translated a little bit, because I'm a nosy guy. I don't care. I want to know every language. Oh no, tell me what they're saying. But do you know why that is? Because with over 1 billion people, I sometimes look at India like, are we going to have to run to India when this thing burns down? Are we going to have to run to India? So I just want to know, do you find there's an advantage as a PR professional, because there may be other things I don't even know about that you know about because they're only in Hindi?
Generally, journalism in India is somewhat similar to US, but here things there is no left or right. There's no left actually. We're still becoming sort of liberal, and so the polarization that you have in the US, we don't have that to that extreme in the media here. So there's that difference, and there are a lot of things here that in US it might be a big deal, but here it's not. So yeah, and this is a very heated topic, so it gets into politics and stuff like that. So yeah, generally things are more acceptable here if you say things online, but it's not in the US. Yeah, so there's that sort of thing going on.
I'm going to keep it PR because I do have some Indian, I call them family members, they're friends. And I hear about, every place, every country has its own issues amongst its own people, and you get into tribalism. We're going to keep it PR, folks, because if we go into that, you're going to have to then go look at the history and see how and why that is. And some of that, I'm even going to blame the British. But again, I'll keep it PR. I'll keep it PR for PR's sake. If you want to leave the people with anything, again, links are in the description box. People, please leave the people where they can find you, how they can connect.
Okay. You can follow me on Twitter at the rate Jeetujayson or Instagram. Those are the two platforms that I'm mostly available on. Or you could go to my website, impactmedia.biz, and book a call with me and get a consultation session.
And it's a beautiful website. You guys have gotten the game. Make sure if you do nothing else, share this with someone. It will change their life.
Hi everyone. Have you ever been curious about visiting Africa? Which African country were you interested in? Kenya, Nigeria, Uganda, South Africa, Ethiopia? Which country are you interested in? My good friend, Kellen Cash Coleman, came up with a course called My First Trip to Africa that'll guide you through this process. It's only $20, and in this course you'll learn about passports, visas, vaccinations that you need before you go there, as well as a budget, how much the trip is going to cost. He also talks about what you should pack, what you should take with you, how you should travel on a budget. Did you know that $100 is worth 1,000 South African rand and over 10,000 Kenyan shillings? So imagine what you can do with $100 back home. I say back home because I'm from Sudan, I'm African, I already know how it's like. I know that, when you convert Canadian and American money, it goes a long way when you're traveling across Africa. So if you're curious, if Africa is a place that you've always wanted to go, always wanted to move there, Kellen Cash is the person to ask. Check out the course. There's a little preview you can listen to before you actually purchase it. If you're interested in this course, visit www.diversifiedgame.com. Don't miss out.